Hello and welcome to the 2021 Skordle Coaches Preview Show. Today, I am joined by head coach of the Washington Warriors, Brad Beller. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's first recap your 2020 season. The Washington Warriors finished the year 12-2 with an appearance in the state championship game against Metro Christian. Coach, can you walk us through that run that you all made in the playoffs? You beat Jones, Adair, and Beggs in consecutive weeks.
It was a very fun run. I mean, an emotional run. Anytime you see Jones jump out at you on the second round, you know it's going to be a great game. And they fell to third, and it was, with all the district ranking last year because of COVID, and us having a team that had played some tough teams. We'd been beat by Newcastle early in the year, played Sulphur, our district, with Purcell. And then having to play Purcell again in the first round of the playoffs because of all the district stuff. And then, CCS is an up-and-coming team with Christian Heritage that's a perennial. So we knew we were prepared, but when you run into a Jones and then you look down and you go Adair and then you're looking at Beggs, it's going to be a tough task. But the thing about last year's group is they never flinched. They played with a lot of energy, and they just enjoyed competing. And I think that's what made that run so fun, is they never took anything for granted. They enjoyed each day and worked real hard.
Coach, we mentioned that disappointment there in the state championship game. How have you been able to use that to launch you guys into the 2021 season? Do you talk about that as motivation, or do you kind of put that in the rearview mirror?
We a little bit of both. We aren't talking about that anymore right now, but I think in the spring, leading into our team camps and 7-on-7s and ultimately our summer prides, we use that as motivation to prepare to not allow that to happen again. It's easy to motivate them in January and February after you lose in the title game because they don't want that to happen again. But sometimes you can lose that sting. And I told them, I don't want to lose that sting. When you get beat in the finals and you have your chances early to take a lead and we don't take it. And then they're a great team and they capitalize on our mistakes that, we've got to guard ourselves against allowing that to happen again and let it refocus us. But at this point, I think we're at a point where we're not talking about, are we going to get back to see Metro? Are we going to get back to the finals? We got to take it step by step. But I do think the loss have allowed us to have a great offseason and a focus that I'm not saying we wouldn't have had, but we've used to our advantage.
Tell us about your 2021 team, Coach. How many returning starters do you have on both sides of the ball, and who are some of the key players we need to be watching out for on Friday nights?
On offense, starting with offense, we lose a really good quarterback in Emmett Wilk, and we lose Chase Allison, that was an all-state running back, and then we lose 3 linemen. And so we lose those 5. We have 6 returning starters. Jackson Hendricks is a guy that started 5 games at quarterback for us last year when Emmett was hurt. And we have a lot of our skilled guys back on the outside. Running back Cole Scott will take his spot. He played a lot last year in some meaningful minutes, but he was not a primary ball carrier, so that's going to be new for us. So the key is his offensive line is replacing those 3 guys that were all 3-year starters. The good news is 2 of the 3 replacements started a lot of games, but due to injuries and COVID and all the stuff that we had going on last year, they did not remain starters, and they were starters at the beginning of the year. And then, like I said, with quarantine and stuff, we built another offensive line. They were just able to play defensive line. So we're not going to be as one-way oriented as we were last year, but we do have 4 guys right now starting on the offensive line that has started, multiple seasons. So, that's good news. Defensively, we lose an inside backer in Jaden Sanchez, outside linebacker in Kelton Schultz that were amazing players. Jackson Sanchez was a safety. We lose those 3 guys defensively. Everyone else is back and intact, and all of our depth as well. Last year, I think we rotated 18, 19 players on the defensive side of the ball. So we return a lot of our depth. We're going to be very deep defensively. So it's a very good quality team that we can expect. And Luke Hendricks, Kobe Scott, Rope Scott, those are names that you're going to hear a lot of this year.
Coach, you mentioned replacing some starters on your offensive line. Here in a few weeks, you play Community Christian. They have a kid who's highly recruited, maybe the most highly recruited kid in all of Class 2A in Oklahoma, who's a defensive end by Joe. How do you game plan? I know you're not there, you're not to that week yet, but how do you game plan for in Class 2A for a kid who's receiving a lot of offers all over the country?
The good thing is we've seen, you don't get many of them in 2A, but we've seen a lot of them in the past several years. The guy from Beggs, the Kendall Daniels kid last year, we saw him in the semifinals, and they look different on the field, on a 2A field. When you see a 4A or 5A, or a 4-star, 5-star guy on a 2A field, they stand out. And so I think that leaning on the fact that we've seen those guys, Carson May at Jones was another one. When he steps on the field, you can tell he's a Division I guy. I think the biggest thing that people do against that is it takes your athletic ability and your aggression away when you see people of that athletic nature. And so just being aggressive with them, understanding that we might have to double team and know where our help is coming from on the offensive line and our linebacker or running backs, being able to chip and help with him in some pass protection is going to be very important. And our coaching staff does a really good job of trying to take away what defenses and offenses want to do. And he's definitely going to be the primary concern.
Coach, I know you've seen other squads this summer, 7-on-7 team camp, that sort of thing. Who are some of the other teams in Class 2A that's going to be there at the end challenging for the gold ball?
Until someone beats Metro in the playoffs in 2A, you got to put them up there at the top. When you look at talent and you look at big play nature, the city area has a bunch. Jones and Millwood always jump out at you, just the athletic ability. But I think the sleeper in that district is Chandler. They played Beggs in an overtime game last year. They have a lot of returning starters. Their quarterback and running back are unbelievable. They're very sound defensively. They played Marlowe, and Marlowe had a great shot of beating Metro in the quarters to a really close game in the second round. So, and also Marlowe, that's the west side. I really think that Marlowe is going to be one of the top, 1, 2, 3 teams on the west side. And then east, you run into, Vian. I know they have that running back, the big, strong linebacker, Adair. I think Sequoia Claremore over in that area, along with Victory, is going to be improved. So I think that 2A, when you look at 2A, it's going to be a deep field. And so I'm really excited about just not as a football coach, but as a fan of all these teams that I feel like can be there in the end. But, Beggs is definitely going to be extremely talented with CJ Brown as a Division I running back going to O State. So I really think there's going to be a lot of teams vying for that final 2 spots.
It's going to be a fun year in 2A for sure. Yeah. Well, Coach, your team opens up 2 weeks from today, August 27th against Pawnee. What should fans expect to see out of the 2021 Washington Warriors?
I really think it's going to be a more balanced offense. We tried to be balanced last year when Emmett was in and out and Jackson was in and out, and it was kind of a revolving door at the quarterback position early on in the year. We think we're going to be more balanced early on between the run and the pass. And last year we had to lean so heavily on our run game through most of the year. So I think that we'll be able to have guys that are going to be long and fast on the outside. Kobe and Luke are track stars that are 6'3", 6'2", 180, 190 pounds that are playing on the outside. Defensively, I think what you're going to see is a team that might not be the biggest in 2A, but they will run to the football and they'll be physical. And that's what we want to pride ourselves in, is the fact that we can play 48 minutes of fast physical football. And I feel like the 2021 Washington Warriors can do that.
Coach Miller, thank you so much for joining us today on the 2021 Skordle Coaches Preview Show. Best of luck to you and the Warriors this season. We're excited to see how you guys do this year and ultimately who comes out on top in Class 2A.
Yes, sir. Thank you.